send you this text and let you know it don't work. But yeah, okay. So back to it here. So how long have you been an academy owner? Like how long? When did you make that transition and buy the gym from Alan?
So I guess I moved out here in 2010 and started as the head coach and manager of the gym in 2010. And then around 2014, I want to say, is when I started getting a little more ambitious and wanted to open another location. Alan helped me out. We partnered on it. And then I bought him out. And I had a location. He had a location,
Oh.
And then in 2000, around COVID time, he just sold me the other one. So,
Okay, it's like it's yours. Roll with it.
Yeah, that's when I got my hands real full. So, so I've been an academy owner for a little over 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I quit my job 2012 to do this full time. And it's the dream and the nightmare all in one. We're up to good, depending on the day. But no, we're doing okay. So 10 years into this, how is the academy doing? How many students you have? Like what kind of like things you do? Like 2 academies. I'm told it's really hard to do if you can't manage it right. It sounds like you've been doing it for a while. Like
it's really hard to do. And I'm not, so the big thing is you have to get the right people with the right skill sets and keep them inspired. It's a lot of work, and it's not, I'm a lazy person. So we do okay, but we don't do as good as we could do. I just, if I did more of the things that I know I should do, it'd be better. But
it's like we know so much, we just have to be reminded.
Yeah, that's true. It is. But we do okay. And then one of my gyms is only martial arts. I have about an 8,000 square foot facility, and we do martial arts classes from 5 to 7:30, Monday through Thursday, and that's it. And then that's
in the 8,000 foot facility, you only do that week, or
it's wasted. But I can't focus on that in my big gym, So I got a 24-hour, 20,000 square foot facility in a couple towns over.
Oh my God.
That one I have lots of classes. I have 24-hour gym memberships. I've got a full functioning gym. And, it takes a lot more of my attention, so trying to balance that is difficult at times, but it's cool too, it presents a lot of opportunity,
That's what's up. And I think like just here, because California, I mean, oh my God, that would just be like cost you an arm and a leg to run something like that here.
Cheap anywhere, but definitely in California.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So transitioning from like trainer to coach to now like business owner of 2 gyms, like do you find like you're able to do more things that you couldn't do before, or you're digging into the coaching more because that's like what you seem to be super passionate about? Like what would you say, how has that impacted your life, I guess?
It's impacted my life in a lot of ways. I guess the biggest thing is that at some point I started focusing more on developing other coaches than actually working with my students, and there's some benefits to that, but there's also some drawbacks. Like I've had coaches leave and then take the whole program with them, basically.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me enough times for me to realize that I have issues with my leadership. I don't inspire loyalty the way I need to. So that's something I need to work on. But it's also very, it makes you sad. It's like you put a lot of time in with people. And you think you have a great relationship, and then all of a sudden they hate you for no reason. All you did was ever help them, and then they do nothing but talk bad about you. Like I didn't do everything I could for you. So
I feel like that is such a common thing. Maybe I don't know if it happens in like karate or Thai, but in jiu-jitsu, it's like I feel like everyone at some point has experienced that.
Well, I think the big thing is like where it doesn't happen is the schools that create a cult, and they basically bring on.
It's so funny. I was telling people we need to be more like a cult here, guys. We need to be like. I was joking. I was like, would it be weird if every time I walk on the mat, we make everybody clap? Would that be weird? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, whenever it's like that kind of environment, you tend not to see those problems as often. But I like to. That's never been something I wanted to be involved in. I like to help people free think. And what I've noticed a lot, in martial arts is that a lot of martial arts schools aren't really teaching martial arts. They're like martial crafts, and they're martial craftsmen. And you're
explain that. Tell me what you mean by
it's just like all other stuff like, oh, it has to be this way, it has to be. That's not art. Art is very explorable. Art's going to be different. Art's not reproducible. And if you're developing a martial artist, you have to keep that in mind, in my opinion, you know, for people to be able to, like, I have a few black belts in jiu-jitsu, and they're all totally different with totally different goals. I have 4 black belts now. None of them are anything alike. They all have completely different goals, and they're all very successful in their section of the game, you know, whatever it is. Like one of my guys, he's one of my black belts. I have a lot of successful professional MMA fighters, but of the people that I gave the black belt to, Alan got his black belt from Helio Seneca, so he actually gave Alan his black belt, you know.
I remember Helio Seneca used to have DVDs. He was like, he was that guy, the DVD guy.
And Alan got all of his jiu-jitsu belts from Helio Seneca, and that was something that was kind of important to him, you know. Yeah. And I thought that was super cool. We used to have Helio out here all the time. You know, great insight, great jiu-jitsu. But I, you know, the style, the old school style of jiu-jitsu isn't something that I really, I do it different, you know. And I think martial arts is one thing, and it's constantly developing, it's constantly evolving. We need to constantly learn with it. You know, it's not something that you can just say, this is now perfect. We're going to teach this to every generation after us, because it's not. It's not going to be perfect. It's not. Somebody's going to figure out something better. They're going to figure out a way around it, and you have to deal with that, you know. And it's very cyclical. It's very cyclical, because that perfect combination gets found all the time, and then somebody finds a way around it, and they're like, well, we stopped doing this because nobody did this anymore because this is stupid because of this, you know. Then we add something else back in.
I almost feel like Baron Bolo, and I hope, you know, just me and my own personal style. I'm a fan of the deep half guard. You know what I mean? I remember when what's his face, Bernardo Faria was killing everybody with that, and then it kind of faded out. And I saw one brown belt that was just like, this is my thing. And so if I had a choice, I would say that was kind of cool to come back. But yeah, it is very much like a circle of fad and fashion that kind of just reproduces itself in just different kind of ways.
I think people trying to turn it into a craft has been a big issue, you know. Creating systems is great, and then giving tactics certain names is also great. I think obviously probably the greatest martial artist that's ever lived. It's hard. I mean, there's a lot of, depending on what we're talking about. I'm not talking about the greatest fighter that's ever lived. I'm talking about the greatest martial artist that's ever lived that we know about. It's hard not to pick a guy like Kano, you know, developing. I mean, look what he did. He changed the world by creating that system and putting names on everything. And then just the generation after him, martial arts got so much better because he was able to systemize everything so well, right? So I mean, look at things like that. But
you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that about like the importance of systemizing things. I think, for example, judo, it's all name, bro. This is the Sokotoku Tashikari. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think where you do see that, do you play any instruments?
I don't.
Okay, so in music, right? Like, I play the piano. I'm not that great, but like in piano, like Western music, like, you know, Beethoven, that kind of stuff, there is a whole series of things that you have to learn, and every chord is, this is the D sharp mid, this is that, right? And then in order for you to kind of like be considered a next level of like classical musician, you have to be able to do these things, like play this for 1 minute in this order, then the next one under this time, and not, you know what I mean? And that is what has produced, you know, a huge swath of Western music that we listen to on the radio today is because of those systems. And like to your point about, you know, Kano, like to have an alphabet, you can't spell words without alphabet. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't work. So if you have the system down, like cool, now you can start to like create stuff. So that's good. I like that, man. That's very, very insightful, man. So what would you say? Like, I mean, you've been doing this for a while. You've coached a lot of people. You know, you're running 2 gyms. Like, what are, like, I feel like as academy owners, we always have a couple big wins that we feel like, oh man, that was so dope to see this person do this, or like this person went from this to this. Like, can you share with us like any experiences that you may have had that was like, man, this is why I do this. This is like a big win for me, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got tons of those over the years, man. And you know, people always accuse their coach of playing favorites, and yeah, it's true. Every coach,
like, yeah, you're my favorite. Sorry.
Yeah,
I told him that. I'm like, guys, this is why he's my favorite. This is why you see this big thing food he just brought me. This is why I like him more than the rest of you guys. Sorry.
Well, and another thing, like, you know, I think the biggest thing is with like a serious coach, I want to work with serious students, you know. And I don't care if you're a 50-year-old lady. I don't care if you're a 18-year-old athlete, you know. If you are coming to me every day, asking me questions, putting the work in, listening to my advice, putting the work in, and I see you doing the work when I'm not looking, Like, you don't know I'm looking, but I watch. Those are the people that get my attention the most, and because of that, I've been accused of playing favorites and not taking some people as seriously as others. And like, one guy telling me all I care about is MMA fighters. I have another guy telling me all I care about is the old ladies that want to lose weight. It's like, no. The problem is when I tell you to do something, you make a joke out of it. If I say, all right, be a jiu-jitsu world champion, go get on the Aerodyne bike. Let's do this workout. We're going to do, you're doing 8-minute matches. So we're going to do this, boom, progression, and then back down. We're going to do 5 rounds of that because there's a good chance you might have 5 matches.
5 matches, yeah.
And after we do that, we'll make sure we stick to this diet. And if every time I see you, you're a little bit heavier and you're rolling like 3 times and gassing out, and when I ask you about your diet, you rub your belly and make a joke about it, I'm not going to spend $1,000 of my own money to go coach you at the Worlds.
Not wasting my time, brother.
I mean, like, why would you even expect that? And I've had people like tell me things like that, and it's like, shocking to me. It's like, dude, you treated it like a joke, but you want me to take it seriously? So
honestly, that's why I don't do fitness, because I'm like, you're gonna tell me you're eating clean, and eating clean doesn't mean you clean out the buffet, bro. Like, eating clean doesn't mean like you're not. Clearly, one of our trainers here, he does like bodybuilding for people, and he's like, we have this down to the calorie, bro. So I know where you should be, and you're not here, and this is why, because you clearly have done what you not supposed to do. So so then who would you say, like, have you had people that like, I listened to the coach, man, I was like, tell me about what that was like.
I've got a lot of examples of that, and some of them are just regular, casual training people, but they take it seriously. They really have real goals and they want to reach them and want my input, and they love martial arts. If that's you, then you're going to get my attention if you ask for it, and then I've had other people that want my attention all the time, but they don't do anything I say. Well, you're going to get less and less of it if I don't see you taking the advice that I offer,
I told you what to do. I mean, just do what I told you the last time you asked me. How about that? Let's start with that, and then we'll get you.
Well, and that's the big thing. When I see that happening, then I'm going to be more proactive with you,
I feel like that's a very martial arts.
People want their coach to do everything for them. They want me to be proactive and get them. But like, I've got like 2,000 members in my gym. Like, I'm not going after whoever anytime that they want. It's the people that grab me. Guess what? They're the ones that are going to get my attention because they're literally coming and getting it.
Yeah.
So and if they, and I will give them my attention if they do what they say they're going to do, and that's something that like I feel pretty strongly about. If you say you're going to do something, you should do it.
Yeah.
If not, just honesty. Be open. Be honest. Communicate.
Just keep it real. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. And we can have fun and train and. Like, this can be great, but just like, let's just not waste each other's time here. No, I think that's fair. That's
the worst about that. They want all the attention and they want you to understand when they just disappear for 3 weeks and then come back right before a competition and demand all your attention. It's like,
I'm ready, guys. No, bro. I think part of competitors too, and I think I realized this later on than I should have, is to be a good competitor, you have to be very selfish. And when you're very selfish, it doesn't work well when you're trying to work with other people because you're not listening to them. You're worried all about yourself, So, yeah.
No, I agree with that 100%. That's something I've said too.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, But if you're demanding my attention and you want it all of a sudden to yourself, well, you better be paying me what it's worth at that point.
Because if you want honoring your commitments,
give it away. If you show me that you need it, you can't afford it, and you're serious, I will give it away to those people.
Yeah.
I've done that many, many times. But if you're demanding it to be free and all you, and you're not doing any of the work, like, get out of here, Like,
there's a free boxing program down the street, brother. The Deputy Sheriff's Activities League. Go right ahead. It's free all day long, and they have a great program too. They're great, I'll tell you. Okay. So okay, 2 gyms running the show. Who would you say is like your perfect client? Like, what is the perfect person that you're trying to like get into your gym?
I like families, man, because I've got a family too, so I want.
How many children do you have? How many kids do you have?
One child.
Oh, nice. Boy, girl.
Boy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Like I'm girl gang over here. So
I turned 7 soon. So and he's into it a little bit, but he's very like on and off, and I don't push him. I make him come to the gym, but I don't make him do class. He does it sometimes.
Yeah, me neither. My older one, if she got into a street fight, I think she'd do okay with someone her size. Like she never competes. I was like, I feel confident that she would not get beaten up. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the important thing, right? Yeah. And more than anything else, like I want him to develop social skills, talking to other kids, because he's an only child.
Yeah.
So But I think that's very, very important. And he seems to be developing in a very healthy way. And he's learning martial arts, at his own pace, right? And he might click one day and be really into it. That's how I was, I wasn't, I loved it, but I wasn't very serious about it as a kid. And then one day I got serious,
Life be lifing like that sometimes.
Yeah, for real.
So you try to get like more families in the gym?
I like to work with families. And I like people that have real goals they want to reach, whether it's a fitness goal, it's a life goal, but I want people that want to learn how to fight. That too, Yeah. So I want you to want to learn how to fight and have some kind of a goal that you're serious about. And then I like people that love martial arts. If you love martial arts and you take it seriously, I can relate to that. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna automatically, be more invested in somebody like that. Somebody that's just doing it for fun or whatever. Like they're not really that into martial arts. They want to kind of hang out. Those tend to be the people that I lose the most often because I'm into martial arts. I like learning.
Yeah.
Social aspect of it is cool, but it's not my favorite part. And for a lot of people, it is their favorite part,
Yeah.
And I've got something I have to be stronger about. I haven't done enough with that in the past. And that's definitely cost me before.
Yeah. I mean, it's learning, bro. It's like, we all.
Yep.
If you hung out with Alan long enough, it's all learning, man. Like this in my head, man. I feel you. And I think too, like families bring a different vibe to your gym. When you have a mom and a dad and the kids and the stepkids and the cousins, like it's assuming they like each other. Sometimes that isn't always the case. And it's so weird, but they still come and do it. So okay, well, we bring families together here, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and I'm trying to get better at this. I asked this question, and I realize my answer is not that great. So do you have like a 30-second pitch for your gym? Like when people say, what do you do? And I don't like that answer because I do all kinds of things. Like, what do you tell them? Like, hey, what do you do?
Well, I teach martial arts skills that are applicable in any kind of a fight. That's what I do. And I help people reach their goal. I want to make sure that you're in shape and that you know how to take care of yourself and fight. And you know how to deal with situations that maybe don't require fighting, where a lot of people might, like self-defense situations or bullying situation.
Yeah.
So I do martial arts as a whole, but the closer it is to like a one-on-one fight, the more expertise I offer,
Yeah. Okay. I just tell people, I do jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. So I'm working on that. Yours sounds way more better than mine. Next time a person I talk to, I'm gonna have a better pitch than that. So what is your current, you said you have 2,000 members between both your gyms right now?
Yeah, a lot of them just lift weights and stuff.
It's like 24 hours. Okay. So what does your lead process look like? Like how does your sales process work for to have the two of them and stuff like that?
We do a few different methods. We have some people come in on trials. We do private intros. We do, we have people join into group classes for intros. We have people opt in on different lead sources online, the website, on Facebook, and I have a staff that follows up with them, sets appointments, and then once we get them in a class, we give them an intro and show them our options after. Or some people sign up online for a gym membership. I honestly have gotten so far away from that the past few years that I barely even pay attention to it, to be honest.
So then the staff, they do all the follow-up, the calls, you give them sales goals and stuff like that too, or
I do intro classes for a lot of people, but that's pretty much it. I like working with people in their first class when I can. Pretty much the only part that I'm even involved in anymore.
Okay, that's great, man. Are you still teaching classes, or do you just train when you want, or
Yeah, I teach classes and I train. I actually started competing last year, again in mixed martial arts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did 7 fights this year. So I mean,
oh Jesus, yeah, that's sorry to hear, but dude, I had one MMA fight, bro, and it was amateur, and I retired undefeated, 1-0, and that was all I did. That's enough for me, guys. It was like a minute or so. I don't need to do it again.
Yeah, I did a couple of amateur fights a long time ago. Then I got into coaching. I had injuries, so I kind of got out of shape and I was hurt. I couldn't really train hard, and I got away from it. And I just also as a coach, I had several guys in the UFC and a bunch of guys coming up. And I was flying around the world all the time coaching. I didn't even have time to train, and it really didn't interest me that much, If fighting myself or competing myself. It wasn't something I was that into.
Yeah.
I've never really liked competing. But last year, Masvidal and Dean Toole got together and they made the Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was what I always wanted to do Vale Tudo. You know, that was the one thing that I was really
Vale Tudo. Yeah, people don't know about Vale Tudo, bro. With the head kicks,
illegal.
There's like a little net on the underlying ring where your head might get stuck in. If
but it's you know, I don't putting on gloves and like people don't realize what a big difference gloves make if you're a ground fighter. You know, gloves literally only help strikers. They do nothing for they hurt grapplers. You know, and people don't realize the extent of that. I think they're going to start to when they see more bare knuckle MMA coming around. Gloves, they do make the striking a little bit more brutal, but like we have guys right now that are so used to hitting things with gloves, they're like hurting their hands and then they can't fight as good like once, right? So I think you know, while the no gloves does lead to more cuts and damage, whatever else, like it's in reality, it's only helping strikers, you know.
Let me ask you this. I've broken both of my hands punching things and maybe fighting people at some point. And I'm always like, from that experience, for me, it's like, I don't really want to punch something. Like, I'm very like, you know what, let me not punch this as hard kind of thing. Do you find like in bare knuckle fighting, like you're holding back a little bit because of that? Or do you like condition them more? Or like, what do you?
It's both. I mean, it's both. I mean, that was one of the arguments. So Big John McCarthy was actually arguing to keep no gloves in MMA back in whatever 2000 or whatever it was that they had the big meeting when they had to make all these rule changes to make MMA and more, because MMA was basically illegal around the world.
You're fighting reservation, guys.
So Big John McCarthy like came up with an argument to like try to make it legal. And one of the things he did was he was trying to get no gloves to be legalized, and I think they should be optional, and I think that's a good rule. I think if a striker wants to wear them, they get an advantage from it. Let them have it, you know. And if they don't want to wear them, they shouldn't have to, you know. As a pro, and that's how it was back at the UFC, back before the rule change.
Yeah, I remember the guy had one glove. I remember that. I was like, okay.
McCarthy had one of the prosecutors, one of the guys in the opposing team, put a boxing glove on, and he held up the desk and he said, "All right, go ahead and hit this desk as hard as you feel comfortable." And the guy cracked the desk pretty hard with the glove on. He felt fine, right? He said, "All right, now take the glove off and I hit the desk again." And the guy's like, "No." This is why having gloves on doesn't really actually help, you know. That impact is what hurts people, you know, brain trauma wise. You know, it's not the cuts and whatever else isn't that big a deal. Plus, you're going to pick your shots more carefully. You're going to, and if you don't pick your shots more carefully, your hand's going to take damage. And when your hand takes damage, you're not going to throw it as much, right? And break that up. So another thing about broken hands, people talk about wraps and whatever else, hand breaks.
Yeah, they have like a metacarpal. They have like a thing on there or something. Does that help or?
Well, I don't know that shit. Like people talk about broken hands. Like so if you go to a boxing gym, I remember I went to a boxing gym when I was like 16. I went into the boxing gym, started training more serious. I like to hit the bag barehanded, and I wouldn't wear wraps or anything like that. And I got yelled at like every single time I did it. Like, no, you got to wrap your hands, you got to put gloves on, you got to wear, you got to break your hands. It's like, and the guy that's telling me this is a guy that's never hit anything without hand wraps on and gloves on, and still broke his hands multiple times, right? Hand wraps are band-aids. You don't put bandages on unless you're hurt. You know, and if you're healthy, you should be developing your strength, right? We don't use those aids when you're healthy. I think those aids are to help you get healthy. So if I hurt my hand, I'll wear a wrap. Otherwise, I don't. And if I'll wear gloves for training for sure, but I don't wear wraps under them unless I'm injured, you know?
I mean, sometimes we have women that like their wrist feel some type of way. And I'll say, you know, put
the wraps
on.
Your hands are delicate. They're not used to hitting things 100%. But if you build them up, you're not going to build them up like that. You want to build them up. You need to take away that Band-Aid, you know?
That's an interesting take. And I've even feel, I don't know if this is true, but I saw it was a movie where they were talking about, it was this weird kind of like prison movie where the guy wanted to see these guys fight bare knuckle. And I remember a guy made like a mouth guard with like some like shoelaces or something. And they were like, we shouldn't do bare knuckle because back in 1874, the bare knuckle fights were this, that. They had less punches then or something, or I don't know. But that's interesting. I've been curious to see from someone that has done that, what is their take on that?
Yeah, you're going to be more careful where you punch and how you punch. And the bare knuckle thing about the bare knuckle fights was they would go unlimited rounds. It would have to be till somebody got fit. It was like submission only.
Yeah, it was like 1 minute on, 1 minute off.
And like obviously rounds 34 and 36, nobody's throwing anything. They're exhausted. Everyone wants to quit, right?
less entertaining. Yeah, I mean, that's about like an hour of fighting. Yeah, I mean the hoist and what's his face, Sakuraba. Yeah. Not a super exciting match until the very end, right? Like,
yeah, they got nothing on bare knuckle fights. Those things used to go over. The longest boxing fight ever started at like 7 p.m. and it didn't end until like 7 a.m. the next day.
I got to work tomorrow. Y'all let me know.
Two guys didn't want to, and then they stopped doing it after that. that was the fight like that.
Do you have people at your gym that are doing bare knuckle stuff, like are training for bare knuckle? Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, Alan he won.
Alan clearly okay.
Won the world title. FC. He just fought for the world title in game bread against Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah.
It was a good fight. So he's getting ready to get back on another title run in there.
Good for Alan,
myself, I fought last year on game bread. I'm fighting again this year.
Okay, I'm gonna connect after. I'll be rooting for you. Man.
Yeah, like, I should.
You don't need no gloves.
Yeah.
So man, 2 gyms. Like, what would you say? Like, I have one, and things are years and years and years of figuring this stuff out and working with people. Like, I feel okay. Like, what would you say is like the worst part about doing this kind of business? What's the difficult part?
Definitely the worst part about doing this business is definitely losing people, you know? It's the worst part.
Like staff and members and stuff.
And members, you know, just when you have to lose people, it's tough. Especially when it's something you're invested in, like emotionally, you know? And that's something I've had to experience a lot over the years. And I'm sure every academy owner does. And it's definitely, for me as a coach, it's the hardest part. You know?
Yeah. Because these are like, I remember coming here with like, you know, guys, I realized I like everybody in here. There isn't anybody in here that I don't like. Like, I genuinely really enjoy being around all you people, you know? And then like, if someone leaves and if it's on bad terms, like, that is, I mean, it's almost kind of like life, but like, it is kind of a bummer. So man, your whole staff they do all your leads and they all are calling. So you have to worry about like you're just totally out of it. You're just more like kind of higher level gym owner kind of thing, or like?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I have a partner that helps out too. And then we have a pretty good staff that runs most of our stuff. We just changed systems recently. So we're wearing this new system, but it's something I keep that stress out of my life. I got other stresses that I focus on now. Actively again, you know, I gotta I focus on that. I focus on the team. I focus on the coaches, and I focus on making sure that we're developing better and better training methods for people, you know?
Yeah.
That they're getting quick results. And that's my biggest thing is like, I don't want it to take, you know, it took me 8 years to get a black belt. My first black belt, it took him about the same, maybe even longer. Like my most recent black belt took him 4 years, you know? Wow. So like, I want to get my people to black belt quicker, you know? That's kind of like my goal. I want to learn how to do training methods that allow that.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that you have the time to be able to kind of like let's dig deep into like what's gonna work, guys. Let's run this for like 6-week camps or whatever, or, you know. And then you get what is your approach to that? Like what is your plan to like do something like that? I don't know if you have to give out the farm here, but like I'm just curious to like what does that look like for you?
Well, what is
like being able to develop people faster?
Oh, well, it's just training methods, you know, like what kind of methodology works best. Whenever I'm trying to help somebody develop a skill set, you know, and find a skill set that works for them. And, you know, as I hone in on that more and more, people are getting better quicker and quicker, you know? So a lot of it is just cutting into more time on the important things in fighting. I don't even believe in techniques, really, to be honest. Like, I had so many people want me to learn 30 techniques as a base that you can build with, but like that just never worked for me. You know, I was like, all right, I know how to do this thing perfect, but I can't use it when I'm rolling. You know, how does that help me? So like, even though I understand the mechanics of it, like I want to learn how to do it when I'm rolling. So when you actually start rolling, you start to see that the real battle isn't, you know, when I'm doing an arm bar, it's not just breaking the grip and getting the arm bar, stepping over their head and sitting into an arm bar. It's like stopping them from moving their head whenever I'm like, you know, person pinned in position while I'm getting to the arm bar. Like that's what I need to practice. Yeah. The rest is easy. You know, I don't even need to, it doesn't even need to be perfect. It doesn't even need to look good. You know, it's just to be effective. Right? Yeah. So, and same thing in fighting. Like when people learn striking, you know, it's all about like perfect punches and, you know, It's like, that's not that important. I could do little girly slaps as long as I'm controlling distance and angles well.
Yeah.
Defending myself well with a good guard, I'm still going to win eventually. You know,
I mean, you see guys like
it's great.
Roy Jones was not a super technical, type boxer. Ricardo Mayorga, if you remember him, he would like punch all crazy. Nassim Hamed, same thing. Like, it was insane to watch this guy fight, but like,
you just named 3 artists that weren't crafts. And that's what boxing coaches want. They're craftsmen, and they want to make a craft. And they want a guy to stand like this, and they want him to do all these punches looking pretty on the heads and all that. That is not what wins fights. Roy Jones Jr. is a great example of one of the best martial artists ever. He was a true artist, and that is what people should be trying to be. They shouldn't be trying to do, look, how many times do you hear, like, brother artist career, he's got his hands out, he's going to get knocked out, blah, blah, blah. He just didn't understand what he was doing. He understood distance better than these guys. He knew how to move. His timing was great. He had a great guard. He just decided to put it at different angles so that people couldn't see his punches coming as well. And they felt more comfortable trying to take his head off. And he knew if you were trying to take his head off, your head was going to be moving in a certain direction, right? And he knew what punch he was open for. So he had the counter ready, and he made your face run into his punch at a great angle where you didn't see it coming, and that's why you got knocked out,
Yeah. Roy, on top of that, he would do the color casting the next week and be like, this is what's going to happen, bro. He's like, here's what I'm seeing here. Like, he was a very cerebral guy, on top of making, I don't know if it was a hit, but I know he made a great song. Yeah, I must have forgot. Anyway, I'm a big Roy Jones Jr. fan.
Yeah, same
okay, here, business and marketing. So what do you guys do to get more students? Like, what type of, like, is it like sales? You do like advertising, or like what is your approach to like get more people in the door?
Yeah, we do a bunch of different types of advertising and all that kind of stuff. I don't even handle that stuff, I don't even pay attention to it, to be honest. I hate it. So that's the part that stresses me out more than anything else, honestly, like picking new ads out and but we have a good website. We definitely run ads on multiple platforms, and that's something I let my partner handle.
Okay. I mean, that's great, bro, to not have to do and I think, like I said, once you get to like a certain level, you can just kind of delegate these things out. Like, me and my wife started a home care business, and, going to old people's places and stuff. And, it grows to a certain level. It's like, look, we can't do this on our own anymore. We got to get different people doing different stuff and like taking some of these stresses off. And like, you know what, let me use your brain to figure this out. Right. My brain is like, it's already full. So let's like get more people in to use your brain. So in your time doing this business and being in martial arts, like, would you say, or can you think of like a big roadblock that you maybe have encountered that was like, oh shit, how am I getting past this? And then what was your approach to kind of like overcoming it? You know what I mean? Like, what was like, I know you had mentioned like you had the gym and you bought Alan's gym and stuff like that. Like, is there anything that you can think of particularly that like, this is super hard, I wasn't sure how to do it, but we figured it out, kind of thing?
I mean, there's always obstacles you have to overcome, right? And I tend to be very problem-solving oriented. That's probably why I got into this in the first place. But I can't really think of any real major thing that like took more of my attention than anything else, to be honest. And
for me, it was the pandemic. That was like the hardest. That was the hardest. I mean, you guys have hurricanes though. Would you like?
Yeah, I got hit with a hurricane during the pandemic. Yeah. So it was definitely an obstacle. But I mean,
what did you do to kind of like that? Sounds like, oh my god, like.
Yeah, no, it was rough. But so during the pandemic, we got hit with hurricane. I think it was Zeta or Ida, one of them, and it took out my whole building in Gulfport. So that at the time was the gym that I owned. I was still helping at the other gym, but like that was the one that I was running off of, and it got completely wiped out. So I had to go into a small space, and it was rough, for sure. But we still made it work, and I built it up, and I had lost my kids instructor at that time too. My whole kids program basically went with that instructor. So I had to rebuild from scratch at that point.
Did he go to somewhere else, or you just stopped doing it?
No, she went somewhere else. Yeah, she was instructor, but it was a situation I had to deal with and overcome. So it was rough. But I got in there. I started teaching again. I started doing intro lessons and built the program up, and it was bigger than it was before. Within a year. So Now we were in Mississippi, so the COVID restrictions here weren't as bad as some other states.
Yeah, it was crazy, bro.
We were a little more, we were a little bit more relaxed here with that stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it's the reddest state in the country with that, but
yeah,
it definitely got touch and go for a minute there for sure.
I'm like 20 minutes from San Francisco, so you can imagine.
Imagine that was probably pretty tough.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. There's a lot of good food around here. It's very interesting.
Some, like online classes and stuff like that for a while too. We Zoomed people, tried that method, but luckily we didn't have the restrictions for quite as long as some other areas.
Yeah, here is brutal, man. I'm like, wait a minute. So I gotta pay you guys all this rent still, but I can't do my business inside here. Like, how does that work? But
yeah,
I think just getting around it. Like, for me, it was like I tell people this. I felt like there was a bunch of wolves chasing me, right? Like I'm running, kind of like jogging, and these wolves are behind me, and I'm like, if I look back, I might stumble. So I was just like, let's just keep on moving forward. And then it isn't till like now I'll watch like things about the pandemic and just get like super triggered and be like, like, oh my God, I must have been like, oh wait, we did that. That was real life. I can't remember that. Like I was trying to like, yeah, it was a trip, man. Okay, well shoot, man. So let me ask this. What do you think the challenges are gonna be for like academy owners like in the horizon? Like if you had a crystal ball, like what do you think is gonna be the challenges that like people that own academies are gonna have to deal with in the future?
Well, I think I don't think this. I obviously there's a lot changing with. I think like learning how to use AI is going to be something that's important, and the chance of another pandemic happening. Now this happened once. Every time something new comes out, it's almost like it's set a precedent. Like we're going to have to, 6 feet apart, everyone wear masks. Yeah. Not going to happen again.
I just got over COVID a couple weeks ago. I got a second time. Oh, second time was not the charm, man. I'll tell you that.
I've never gotten it.
You're lucky.
All the time. Yeah. So I don't know. And every time I got sick, I got tested. I never had.
Yeah. My dad never got either. It was like my mom. Yeah, this guy's like 8 years old. So you think AI? What do you think AI is going to do? What do you think?
I think it's offering a lot of unique solutions for, creating advertisements with videos and wording. I think it's something people are going to have to learn how to use, and it can be intimidating to learn anything new at first, but it's definitely something that's caught my eye and my ear. And then I think, honestly, like having some kind of a online platform is beneficial. Being able to offer something along those lines, just in case anything closes down, like having a library available online for members. Having all that is valuable. Possibly doing like private in-home sessions, sending out personal trainers. I think that's something in the future. For martial arts coaching is having a staff that doesn't just do it in the gym. We go to people's houses. Everyone wants everything delivered to their house these days, right?
Yeah, that is true. That's okay. I never heard of that.
That is the biggest change 10 years from now. I would say that in-home instruction at a much higher price, rather than having people come to your gym to do private lessons, you go to their house. I think that's going to be a big market that probably opens up.
Interesting.
It might be an app for it, like DoorDash. You get your own martial art.
YouTube app. Here's a black belt to your door.
Exactly.
And have someone they can train with too. So this is a black belt.
Trainer Dash. I mean, that's
Trainer Dash, Jits Dash.
Yeah.
Okay, that's deep. Okay, yeah, give you some ideas here. All right. So let me ask you this last question. So, what advice would you give to someone who is like stuck? What advice would you give to someone? Say, hey, I have a gym. I don't know what to do. What would you tell them?
Well, I guess it depends on what they're stuck on, but I don't know, man.
Or I guess what advice would you give to other people that would be like considering maybe like opening up a gym?
Well, if they're trying to open a gym, I would say don't open two. Save yourself the headaches.
I was told that shit too. Like, don't do two. I was like, I'm just gonna have one, man.
Yeah. One is good, I think.
Just stick to one.
And make sure you get your full attention. When your attention is split, you're gonna have more difficulties than if it's not.
Yeah.
take care of your people. That's important. It's every staff and your students. A lot of people tend to focus more on one than the other. I think it's important to make sure you focus on all of them.
Yeah. To your point, I'm sure they have probably amazing barbecue in Mississippi. Is that fair saying? Some good barbecue?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I love barbecue food. And there's this place here in Oakland. It's called Matt Horn Barbecue. Me and my wife, I don't say I'm a barbecue snob, but like if it's good, I want to make sure it's good. So it's like the best place I would say, probably the Bay Area, maybe Northern California, if you ask me, my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, we're getting it all for the staff here on Friday. Say, hey guys, put your order in. I don't care what it is. This is the best food ever. Eat it. They don't give you like little tiny sides. They give you like good. You're gonna be full and take some home. So, yeah, taking care of people is important.
I like that.
Michael, brother, thank you so much, man. This has been like super insightful. Like I'm talking to different people that are all different levels of jiu-jitsu, doing all different kind of stuff, man. I mean, hearing your perspective and dealing with like hurricanes and pandemics and floods, like what, and to still be like successful and to still like overcome it. I always talk about like leading with intention and just talking with you about like, how can I make my guys better? You know what I'm saying? How can I do this, be more effective at this versus like, I just want to do this, or I just want to chill, or I want to do these kind of things. Like, I think it matters, man. I think it matters. And like, to be able to impact the people that you're doing, I think is awesome, brother. And like, man, keep it up, bro. Like, we'll tap in for sure. I want to see, give me the date or whatever you're fighting stuff. I'm like, team, Michael, and keep your hands up, I guess. I don't know. Be careful. No.
Yeah, my next bare knuckle MMA fight is going to be Game Bred on November 15th.
Okay.
So last year I fought. I was first fight of the night, and then I had to corner 7 guys. And then Alan was the main event. He fought Roy Nelson, and then this year it's going to be almost a year later. It's like a year and 5 days later, and I'm on the card again. One of my guys is fighting for a world title for bantamweight. It's a rematch he had in the UFC. Another one, so Brandon Davis, he's the main event. He's fighting Randy Costa. So they fought in the UFC, and Brandon was able to beat him in the UFC. Now they're fighting bare knuckle for the bantamweight world title. And Jason Knight's going to be on there. He's one of my guys too. He's fighting. His opponent hasn't been announced yet, but he's definitely going to be on the card. He's always fun to watch. And then,
are you going to still corner everybody, or are you going to get somebody else?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to, as long as I'm not too beat up. Well, I was pretty beat up last time, and I still did it. So, those little, especially when you're fighting a guy that isn't used to bare knuckle, they'll hit too hard. So my opponent hit me 3 times when I had him in a single leg, and every single one opened to cut up, and then he broke his hand. So, I mean, he's just like at a bad angle and just recklessly just trying to crack me. And it shows you like having some experience hitting barehanded goes a long way. But yeah, if you're willing to just let your hands break, you can mess somebody up pretty easy with the bare hand.
Well, I love that for you, and I'm gonna be like, I hope that works out well, and I'll be rooting for you. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. You get to host Dave Freeman, Michael Stratford here, Stanford here, Biloxi, Mississippi. Thank you so much for joining us for the BJJ Marketing Martial Arts Podcast. We'll see you next time.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, thank you. Closing off here. Hang on one second.
Sure.
What?